there. Welcome to Unlock Your Life, the podcast about growing your business without compromising or sacrificing your relationships, your kids, or your life, or whatever it is that you find important. My name is Susan McLean Bond, and in this episode, we're in the series talking about money and business. And in this episode, we're going to talk about tip number 2, how to navigate your blueprint. And what does that even mean? What is a blueprint? So, we've been talking so far around the topic of money and business, around what is it that you really want? And then we talked about not knowing how to create whatever you want. And we talked about how to start contributing to the world, really contributing, so that there is a money flow coming back to you. And today we're going to talk about blueprint navigation. Now, what is that even? What is a money blueprint? And how can you navigate with that? Because if we're talking about money and business, it's really important to understand that you have a compass. There is something you can actually use that will tell you exactly what direction to look at. But most people think that that is a compass directing to where they want to go, which is correct. But it's not the only thing you need to know about it, because it's also to do with where you are now. Because it's nice to know what direction you need to be going, but the direction is always pointing towards where you want to go, related to where you are now. And if you don't want to know where you are now, then I have bad news for you. It's really impossible to plot a course. Because if we don't know where you are, then in relation to what can we figure out your direction, right? Now, not everybody knows that, but I am a captain on tall ships. And I've been sailing all of my life on all different kinds of yachts. And navigation is always between 2 points. It's always between where you're headed and where you are now. And when it comes to money, people say, I don't care where I am now. I want to leave where I am now. Right? Correct? I get it. But if we cannot figure out where you are now, you can never leave, because you just won't know how to get out of that place. Now, I was talking about blueprint and about where you are now, and what does that even mean? Well, a blueprint is, of course, a drawing of the exact situation. So a blueprint is, this is what has to happen in order for this to be the consequence, right? Now, we all build our own blueprint. We all create a blueprint in our life, and we create that by experiences. And around these experiences, we create habits and beliefs. And that whole system becomes our blueprint. So, for instance, you're, a year and a half old, and you drop a cup on the kitchen floor and it breaks, and your mom gets angry. That's an experience, right? And you think, okay, mom gets angry when I break a cup. A few weeks later, you break another cup. Mom gets really angry again. A little while later, the antique teapot breaks at grandma's house, and now both mom and grandma get furious. So all of these experiences lead to habits and beliefs. In this specific thing, it might lead to a belief like, I should be really cautious when I handle chinaware, right? Or mom and grandma will get angry with me no matter how much I try. Or I am too young and too clumsy to deal with antique, or whatever it is. So there's a whole set of beliefs and of habits that come from experiences, and not just from these experiences, from all experiences. And those experiences, habits, and beliefs combined are our blueprint. And I call that a blueprint because we tend to look at it as the truth, as laws, as nature laws even. We tend to look at it as if that is how the world works always, not just for us, but for everyone. That is not 100% true, is it? Because I don't know about you, but I know a lot of moms, and I am a mom who never gets angry when a cup breaks. My mom got really angry, and she still does when cups break. So there are a lot of different reactions that moms can have towards you being clumsy or not handling Chinaware. One of them is getting angry, but that is not the only truth out there. So we create this model of the world, which you can also refer to as blueprint. And that model of the world is a tight, round, kind of our own universe. Now, why do we do that? We do that because we live in a expanding universe that has no boundaries. Now, try to think of that. So there is this expanding universe. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger every day, and there is no limit to it. That is something we cannot get together in our mind, because how can anything expand if it doesn't have any limits already to begin with? And if you ask scientists, they even tell you you're not even allowed to try to understand this because it's just too complex. But in order to walk on this earth and to participate in our economy and to do something here on this planet, we need to figure a model that we do understand. And we need to create something that feels like, I get it. I get life. I understand it, even though we probably will never understand it. So we create this world model and these rules and these laws that are not the truth, but they feel very true to us. And those truths become our blueprint. Those are experiences, habits, and beliefs. And it doesn't get a lot complicated, more complicated than that. But this said, we need to make sure that these are really true so that we can start to live up to them. And we do that specifically by the people around us. Those people around us have very similar blueprints and very similar world models. So they support whatever it is that we created for ourselves. This is what we've been talking about in previous episodes when I talked about context, right? I already shared with you that I had one context in an urban area with a lot of support for my business and for who I was and how I was living. And then it changed because I moved. The whole context changed. And instead of people supporting me at 6 a.m. in the rowing practice, I had people looking down at me and saying, you're no fun and you're a bad mom in the other context. And that shifted everything, right? My context also changed in that way that in the first context, I was single and just a single business owner. In the second context, I had a family and I was a mom. So all of this makes the difference. This is all part of our blueprint. Now, part of my blueprint was, for instance, like I explained in that episode, that my mom would always tell me that father should earn the money. That is not something I consciously believed. It is something that in my blueprint, the whole set of universal laws that I grew up in was the case. My mom was always at home, always at the kitchen table, always ready when I came out of school. And that is moments that I really have very fond and very beautiful memories about. That was our moment of connection. The moments I connected with my mom most deeply were at that kitchen table over tea out of school. So I wanted to be that kind of mom too, and a business owner. And I didn't get how that connected. So I started messing up my business in order to be a good mom. Or I started to kind of have this big fuse of, I don't know how this works. And I started messing up all areas. Because in the blueprint that I used to create when I was a kid, these two worlds could not match. So they started colliding. And that is what happened to my bank account. Now, so today we're talking about, how do you navigate your blueprint? So I told you a little bit about how that blueprint is created and how it works. Now, the big question is, how can you work with it? And I said, the first thing you need to know in order to plot your navigation is where you want to go. The second thing you need to know is where you are now. And specifically, what set of blueprint beliefs, experiences, and habits created your current reality. Because you must know one thing, and that is that you are constantly creating your own reality. And that might sound like I'm blaming you for all the stuff that you don't want at this moment. To me, it felt like that. I had 50,000 euros in debt. I had a family. I was terrified that my husband would take the first train back to where he came from. I thought, it's not my fault. That's not my fault. But the thing is, it's not your fault. And it's not that anybody is blaming you for it. But it's actually really good news to understand that you created it. Because if you created it and you start understanding with what beliefs, experiences, and habits you are creating that reality, and you really dive deeply into what your blueprint actually looks like, only then you can change it. Because if you're not aware of what's going on a subconscious level, then it will keep on repeating. Why? Because you installed what I call bodyguard, which you instructed very carefully to live up to that blueprint. Now, all of us have that. We have this I call it an entity that we instructed and we nourished and we told, hey, this is what we want here. And we told this bodyguard, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to defend. These outcomes are okay. These outcomes are not okay. And all that bodyguard is doing is just trusting whatever you told him and living up to it. So if you told him, hey, millionaires suck, like I told my bodyguard, then it will do one thing and throw away all your money. That's what my bodyguard did. If you tell your bodyguard, mom should be home and they should not be working, and they should sure as hell not earn a lot of money, because husbands should be doing that. If that is what you told your bodyguard, then the minute you become a mom, like me, your business will start evaporating. And it's not your fault. It's just that you have to understand what instructions did you give your bodyguard, because it's just living up to whatever you instructed it. And in my case, I had been pounding in those instructions to that bodyguard for 30 years. So 30 years worth of telling him, hey, this is what we want. This is what we should be doing. This is what I want you to defend. These people, you should throw them out. These people, bring them in, etc., etc. That bodyguard was just creating a context that lived up to whatever I told him, right? So in order to change and get to the point where you want to be, you need to understand how you even got to the place where you are now. Because what most people try to do is they just try to get the results of the other place, and then they think that they will change from having the results. And I can tell you that's not true at all. It's not even 1% true. It's just, it will tear you down immediately again. And we know that, right? People who win big money prizes, lottery prizes, they get back to where they were before within 2-3 years, maybe 5 years. Prize of $30 million. Just out of there. Why? Because they never changed their blueprint. So all of that money in that bank account is not going to work for them because they don't understand how to deal with it. And even if people tell them how to deal with it, it won't make them happy because it wasn't a result of their blueprint. So you cannot just have the result and then hope that your blueprint will change. You need to change your blueprint first, and then you will get the result that matches that blueprint. Now, that is actually very good news. So what I want you to do this week is to dive into your own blueprint. What experiences have you had? What beliefs do you have? What have you been taught? What have you experienced? What is your life about right now? What is the context? What kind of people do you have around you? And the best way to look at this is not just look at what you know you believe, because what you know you believe is not the problem often. What the problem is what you subconsciously believe, what you think you don't believe, but in reality is pulling you down. And how do you get there? Well, I have a few questions for you that could help a lot on that. And one of the questions is, look at your context. Look at the people you're surrounding yourself with. What are their beliefs? What are their results? What are they doing in their life? What are they creating? How are they talking about life? How are they talking about business? How are you talking with them? What are their complaints? What are your biggest complaints? And really dive into what is going on there. And then how do you perceive people that have the results that you claim you want? How do you perceive those people? For instance, my first initial reaction to millionaires and rich people was, oh my God. Oh. But if you're trying to get the results and you think, oh my God, those people are failures, then that's not going to be very attractive. And your bodyguard is going to make sure that you won't get that result. Because if you don't like those people, then you won't be a very likable person to yourself. And it doesn't work that way. So you better understand what your current reality is trying to tell you. My current reality 10 years ago was trying to tell me that millionaires suck. And if my reality was telling me that millionaires suck, then maybe I should do some inner work on relating to rich people in order to create more money. Now, that's just one small example. The whole mom story as well was pulling me down. Because if moms can't earn a lot of money, then I am a mom and I cannot earn a lot of money. And my bank account was telling me that, not my mind. Because my mind thought, of course, moms should be able to earn money. But listen to the difference in language. Should be able or obviously make. It's a whole different way of talking about it, right? So look at the reality that you have created so far and try to look at it as if you're looking at the reality of one of your best friends and say, hey, what does this person with these results apparently believe, whether they like it or not? What do they have to believe in order for this reality to show up? What context must they have in order for this reality to show up? What have they learned? What have they experienced? What set of experiences, habits, and beliefs must this person have? Otherwise, this reality could never be what showed up, right? And I want you to take this exercise very seriously, because once you understand what situation got you to where you are now, only then can you see, hey, what do I need to believe? What would be very smart to start believing in order to create the other results? Because then you can start looking at, hey, if now I look at people who have the results that I claim I want, what do they believe differently? What do they do differently? What must they believe differently in order to have this showing up? What people do they surround themselves with? What actions do they do differently? And not just to do all those actions, but to really dive into, hey, what kind of person should I start becoming and what am I now? And say, hey, how can I shift that? How can I shift the blueprint that I apparently have? And how can I reprogram my own inner bodyguard towards the blueprint that I want to have? Because with that blueprint, I will easily get the results I want. Now, this is big homework. I get that. I also get that a lot of you might understand this on a cognitive level, but not so much on a soul level. And that is where you need the understanding. If you have questions about this, please reach out in the comments, send me a text, send me an email. I am very, very, very happy to help you out there. Join the Facebook group so that we can interact live in the Money Mindset Mastermind on Monday morning. So I can help you out discovering what it is that is blocking you in your current blueprint, because it's not always that easy to see. Like a fish doesn't get the concept of water while he is in the water, you will not get the concept of where your blueprint is blocking you when you're still in the blueprint. So if you need any help with this, reach out to us through the mastermind, or we have the Your Money or Your Life webinar, and we will put the link below here as well. We don't do that every week because we don't want you to think, oh, I need to do all these things while I'm just listening to a podcast. But if you want to understand your blueprint, we explain that in detail in the webinar. It's a no pitch webinar. We don't sell anything, so you can just lean back and listen to it. Join us in the webinar, join us in the Facebook group, reach out, because if you understand your blueprint, you will have the biggest compass to navigate any result you want in your life. So that was it for today. Next week, we're going to end the series on money and business, and we're going to easily transfer into our next set, and that is money and finance.